Mounjaro 2.5 milligrams and Zepbound 2.5 milligrams. What are the 13 worst things to do your first week? Hi friends, I'm Elizabeth. I'm Countess of Shopping. I have gratefully lost 71 pounds with Mounjaro weight loss, and really excited to talk about Zepbound weight loss today and Mounjaro weight loss. And if you're doing WEGOVY or semaglutide or tirzepatide weight loss, all are welcome at this table. I've got Mr. Freddie, my co-host, behind me. Let's go ahead and dive into, if you're doing Mounjaro your first week or Zepbound your first week, what are the 13 worst? In my humble opinion, I always say in every video, I am not a healthcare professional, nor do I pretend to play one on the internet. Simply my experience, strength, and hope to help encourage you here at the Countess of Shopping community along your weight loss journey with GLP-1s. Number one, worst thing that you can do is be super hard on yourself the first week of taking Mounjaro. Your first week with Mounjaro 2.5 milligrams or Zepbound 2.5 milligrams. Grace, and extra grace squared is required for the first week. Why? Because so many things are out of your control the first week of taking Mounjaro. Listed down below, I have in the description a large free resource for you on the countessofshopping.com blog of where I go through and talk about your first week expectations. In addition to this video, you can have a written checklist to help you. I've got my Mounjaro weight loss success checklist, also for side effects. Within there, there's side effects. There's a lot of them. We're going to talk about those in a little bit, but having extra grace and walking in thinking with the end in mind of what does your first week of Mounjaro look like, of having extra grace. For me, that meant I restructured my schedule, knowing day one and day two could be kind of gnarly, like the first 24 hours or 48 hours, or maybe not. Everybody's body's different. For me, I did have a bunch of side effects the first week. It wasn't day one, day two. For me, it lasted till like day 5, day 6, which we're going to talk about as well. You're going to want to make sure you stay till the end because I've got a special surprise for you. But grace with having extra grace for yourself and reframing your brain that this is not like taking an Advil. Like this is a prescription drug, and giving it some thought, right? Giving it some thought before taking, which I know you have. You wouldn't have gone to your telehealth company, which by the way, if you do need a telehealth company, I've got my favorite one linked down below, and a discount code if you're looking to get a discount on it. Number two, of worst things, 13 things you can do in your first week of taking Mounjaro 2.5 milligrams or Zepbound 2.5 milligrams is not being prepared for side effects. I'm a former Girl Scout. Mr. Freddie and I agree. We need to be prepared potentially for side effects. There's 17 of them. I did a whole article on them. And basically, let me pull this up so you guys can see. 17. The main one is gastrointestinal side effect issues. But I want you to plan this for day 1, day 2, or longer than that. If you have nausea, diarrhea, constipation, vomiting. I realized on my list, oh my gosh, I put the vomiting, nausea twice. Apparently that was very important to me. Constipation, indigestion, stomach pain, sulfur burps, sulfur burping, acid reflux, hair loss, loose skin, body aches, Mounjaro face, Mounjaro butt, tired, sleep changes, period changes. Those are just a few, 17 of the tirzepatide weight loss changes I saw, or within my free, thousands of people are in my free Mounjaro weight loss encouragement group. It's totally free, but you need to answer all the questions to join that group. It is so motivational on a daily basis if you're just starting out your journey or you've been on Mounjaro weight loss for a while. But things like having my absolute favorite electrolytes. For me, electrolytes have helped so much. I always have with me my 40-ounce tumbler. I've linked down below my favorite Stanleys and my favorite other Stanley type water bottles. And I love putting it, usually I'll have 0 to 2 sticks, depending on the day, usually 1 stick a day with my LMNT electrolytes. Raspberry salt is my favorite. It has magnesium, potassium, and sodium, which help with some of these indigestion issues, or if you're having sleep issues, or I got really bad leg cramps, but those are not a Mounjaro side effect per Eli Lilly's website. Eli Lilly is the manufacturer of Mounjaro. The other thing is fiber supplements, my absolute favorite ones for Mounjaro constipation. I've linked those down below. If you're having nausea, literally just cutting up, this is ginger. You can get like one of these little ginger chunk of burn loaves, cut up into little chunks, put it in a big old water pitcher, and drink the ginger water. Some people have recommended ginger chews in our encouragement group, and that is awesome, to each their own. For me, it was way too much sugar. It whacked out my blood sugars, but just chopping this up and putting it into a pitcher for the day, it's like spa water. It smells good too. So that has helped as well if you're having indigestion issues. This is a Countess of Shopping breaking news. I have switched my magnesium. Magnesium for me very much helps with sleep and mood. And more science is coming out about the weight loss component of magnesium. And having been on a 100-pound weight loss journey, I've lost 71 pounds with my Mounjaro weight loss journey so far. 11 months in, I'm now on 15 milligrams. I just took my first dose of 15 milligrams a couple days ago. And so I've switched. I will link down below my new magnesium I'm taking, because it has all 7 types of magnesium included in it. And I'm pretty sure I have a discount code for you guys down there too. So number 2, worst thing that you can do when you're taking your first week of Mounjaro 2.5 milligrams or Zepbound 2.5 milligrams or tirzepatide weight loss is not being prepared or being ill prepared for side effects, because they may not happen for you, but they may. And wouldn't you rather be prepared for that? What is the worst, number 3, what is the worst time of day to take Mounjaro? So I want to encourage you, I again have an article linked down below too, for the best time of day to take Mounjaro for me is around 2 to 3 p.m., 1 to 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Why? For my body, and again, you're gonna need to test it out for your body, because everybody's body is different with Mounjaro 2.5 milligrams and Zepbound 2.5 milligrams. Everybody's body is different. For me, that time works because I start to feel side effects when I'm sleeping. So I've intentionally timed it that 1, 2, 3 o'clock to have my side effects in the evening as I'm sleeping, like overnight. So if I'm having nausea, I'm sleeping usually. And it usually doesn't wake me up. I've had some times of where it does wake me up, but it usually doesn't. So timing that out may take you, the trial and error, going back to tip number 1, giving extra grace. You may need extra grace to figure out what is the best time for you. I promise you, you're gonna come up with a cadence and rhythm that is perfect for you with your Mounjaro weight loss. For me, for my full-time job, I'm on air. So some of my clients are Amazon, iRobot, QVC, Pinterest, where I'm on air and I don't have necessarily control of when I'm on air or doing media stuff, video stuff. And so with that, I have to be flexible and adaptable. So that's my ideal time. Like, for example, Black Friday, I was supposed to take, that's like my busiest day of the entire year. And I was on iRobot's, I was their exclusive live streaming host. I was supposed to take my Mounjaro and I didn't. I did not want to have any side effects on my biggest day of the year with so I pushed it to Saturday. I took my shot on Saturday and I took it earlier. I took it like 10 a.m., but I knew I was gonna, like, I had planned it, talked to my medical provider about it. I always talk with your medical provider about if you're missing a dose. And I only missed it by, a few hours basically by taking it Saturday morning, but nonetheless. Number 4, for worst things to do for your first week of Mounjaro 2.5 milligrams, tirzepatide, and Zepbound weight loss is worst site injection. For me, again, this is trial and error. For your first week, you have 3 places you can inject this bad boy. In your stomach, it's in this, I always subcutaneous, it's the fatty part. And in Mounjaro, it gives you, from Eli Lilly, the manufacturer of Mounjaro, gives you a printout in the packaging with purple on the diagram of where to put this bad boy. In the back of your arm, I have my husband do that, my thigh or my stomach. For me, I was terrified to do my thigh in the back of my arm. For you, that very well may be different. Usually you, like, after a month or so, you're like, okay, here's my favorite spot. And then that usually changes, like, from talking with thousands of people in my free Mounjaro weight loss encouragement group, linked down in the description link below, that usually changes. Like, usually 6 months in, people usually have a different spot. For me, the back of my arm, I get the most side effects, but I also get the most weight loss and the most appetite suppression. My stomach, which I injected this week, I don't get really very much of that. I have mild appetite suppression and no side effects now. At the beginning I did, but now I don't. And as I've titrated it up, that's pretty much proven to be true. As you titrate up things, just because you don't have one side effect doesn't mean you're not going to have another side effect. So on 2.5 milligrams, I had different side effects than when I was on 10 milligrams of Mounjaro. So to give some context on there, the side effects your reaction may change with that, and with different site injections. So going back to the worst site injection, there really isn't one because you're testing it. You're going to figure out though what works best for your body and what doesn't. So on shot weeks for the back of my arm, because I'll do left arm, stomach, left side thigh, and then right arm, right side stomach, right thigh. And I have a whole rotation thing. I'll link that article down below with the rotation of how I do it, basically into something like 24 different spots of how you can rotate it around with Eli Lilly's guidelines they've given us to help ensure that you're rotating, because you don't want to keep injecting it in the same spot over and over and over again. Number 5, worst things to do for your first week of Mounjaro weight loss is foods to avoid. Well, what foods should you avoid and what foods should you eat? I have now started paying to work with a GLP-1 dietitian. I will link her information below. I've got a discount code in her membership plan that I'm a part of. It has been so helpful. She told me to have 100 to 120 grams of protein per day. On days where I have massive appetite suppression, that is not realistic for me. But I do prioritize protein on there. And I'm not going to force my body to eat food. Like, I'm just not. I'm just not. But for Zepbound weight loss and Mounjaro weight loss or tirzepatide weight loss, what do you want to be focusing in on? Protein, because protein, we know that with any sort of GLP-1 massive weight loss, but any sort of massive weight loss, not just GLP-1 weight loss, that there is massive muscle mass that can be lost, meaning you lose muscle mass with weight loss, not just GLP-1s, but in general. Thinking with the end in mind and knowing that, let's make sure, for me, I was like, okay, well then how do I increase muscle mass? Eating protein and eating collagen. So I prioritize those in addition to nutrient-dense food like fruits and vegetables in my plate that I'm eating with, and that GLP-1 dietitian has been super helpful. On your first week, are you gonna roll up with all that information? Probably not. Maybe there's some like superstars out there. But for me, that was definitely not the case. I was like, yo, I just want to take my shot. But thinking with the end in mind and thinking about this, can you start weaving in more protein for you? For me, I did at the beginning. I got a Ninja Creamy. I'll link my favorite one down below. It was recently on sale, and I make protein ice cream with it. I have my favorite protein ice cream recipe. I'll link that down below. And having protein ice cream for me, I don't do that as much now, but I certainly do enjoy it. And it's very helpful to get protein in easily. And in your first week, finding easy protein solutions for you, because I didn't want, I was and still am afraid about the muscle mass loss. I'm 71 pounds down on my 100-pound weight loss journey. Tip number 6 on 13 worst things to do in your first week of Mounjaro 2.5 milligrams is having high expectations. In my free Mounjaro weight loss encouragement group, I love that group, by the way. I love it so much. I love those gentlemen and the ladies. The counts and countesses in that group are top notch. But I do see sometimes people come in and they're like, oh my gosh, I only lost 2 pounds my first week of Mounjaro. And I'm like, boo, what were your expectations? Like, for me, that's amazing. I lost, and you can see my first video, 11 pounds in my first week. Is that realistic? No. I ate a ton of junk before that first week. I like binged eat my brains out. And this sounds really crass and really gross, so please forgive me. But you could be one poop away from losing like another 2 pounds. I know that sounds so gross. But like what I'm trying to say in that, and half jest and half realness, is that like, don't put all your stock in how much you lose your first week. This for me is a marathon, not a sprint. And it's lifestyle changes, and keeping that in mind, that it's not this quick fix diet thing. I think, quite frankly, if you are looking for like a quick fix diet thing, that scares me for you. Being 100 pounds overweight, I wanted a quick fix, trust and believe. But I knew, and my doctor phrased it for me, that I would probably be on this the rest of my life taking Mounjaro. I've had other doctors subsequently since then challenge that, of getting into maintenance, which I have other videos on Mounjaro maintenance. But I do think I'll be on maintenance the rest of my life. This, for me, rephrasing in my brain that it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to, but some people in my Mounjaro encouragement group talk about how excited they are to get off this medication. And again, I'm not here for judgment at all. You do your journey. I'm here to be a source of encouragement for you, a source of uplifting positivity. So click that subscribe button. I release videos every other day, if not daily. Recently I've been doing them daily because there's so many questions, and there's so many people who are on their Mounjaro weight loss journey, WEGOVY weight loss journey, Zepbound weight loss journey, and looking for encouragement. Okay, tempering your expectations. Number 7. So please don't come in and be like, I want to lose 30 pounds in my first week. Like, no, that's not healthy. Losing 11 pounds my first week, is that healthy? No, like it's not realistic. For me, my doctor's like, if you lose 1 to 2 pounds per week, we're in a good cadence and rhythm. Number 7, not planning on your calendar your next prescription refill. We are coming out of Mounjaro shortage. It's still on the FDA shortage list. It's saying it's fully available, but it's still there. WEGOVY for sure is on a shortage, sure. And Zepbound, I'm curious to see as it gets rolled out with pharmacies, what will happen. Like, is that going to be on a Zepbound shortage? I don't know. I think Eli Lilly's got their stuff together. And part of the shortage for Mounjaro was the pen. This pen, because of the way the needle is on there. This doesn't hurt, but a lot of people get freaked out. For me, it didn't hurt. Botox hurt more. This was just like a little prick. Really, I was like literally shaking. If you saw my first video in the 2.5 milligram series, I was shaking. It's really, for me now, it's not that big of a deal. I'm like, So not planning to get your next prescription. For me, I have a Google Calendar reminder set up when I need to go, get my prescription from my favorite telehealth company, and then like reverse engineering when I need to go talk to them, get the prescription from them, and then I go to a physical pharmacy to get mine locally. You can get it shipped though, and if you're taking compound, they'll ship it to you. They can ship. They do both name brand, by the way, and compounds, which is amazing. They do both. I think they're the only telehealth company that does both prescriptions. Usually they do one or the other. So make sure you plan on your calendar. Tip number 8, of not having communication with your healthcare medical provider. You need to be in dialogue with them. And if they're ghosting you or not having dialogue, then that's a problem. If you're having side effects, you need to be communicating that to them. Whoever prescribed you this medication, or if you're taking tirzepatide, if you're taking a compound or semaglutide compound or Zepbound, or whatever, you need to talk to your healthcare provider. The person who prescribed this to you. I love it when people come in our Mounjaro weight loss encouragement group, but sometimes when people come in and talk about major medical stuff, that sounds to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, go talk to your doctor first and then come talk to our group. Our group is here to uplift you, but if that should not be your medical source point. We're going to give you encouragement. Like, oh girl, you got constipation? Here's my favorite pills. Oh girl, you got nausea? Here, get a little nubby nub of some ginger water. Like, you need some magnesium? Here's my favorite ones. All of that stuff, I got you covered. But if it's like, I'm having a severe pain, go talk with your healthcare provider, because they are the one who prescribed this to you and know your medical history. Some rando on the internet does not. Okay. And sorry that I went off on a little tangent. Let me reel it back in out of my rabbit hole. Tip number 8 was supposed to be communicating with your provider about your month 2. You're not doing this in your first week of being on Mounjaro 2.5 milligrams, but you are going to put on your calendar to have that conversation probably week 2. So next week. If you're on week 1, it'll probably be next week. Why? Because you're going to need to reverse engineer getting a prescription if you're doing month to month, which that's what I did. Maybe you're doing every 3 months or whatever. But for me, it was month to month. So every month I was making a decision based on how my body felt. That took week 2, because then on week 2, I'm going to need to figure out to get the prescription from my telehealth provider, get it filled. Does the pharmacy have it with a shortage? Some people are still experiencing shortage issues of not having certain doses at their pharmacy, or there's a lapse in shipment. And some people are like, oh, the FDA shortage is over. It's not, though, for some people in the country. I'm still hearing in our free encouragement group, there's lots of people who are still having shortage issues with particular Mounjaro doses. Please, please, please plan ahead. So on week 2, talk to your medical healthcare, your telehealth person. They're going to prescribe, and you're going to come up with that decision. Maybe not directly in week 2. Maybe you wait until like a little bit, but it's going to take some time to figure out what dose, if you're going to stay on 2.5 milligrams of Mounjaro or titrate up to 5 milligrams. I titrated up onto Mounjaro 5 milligrams from month 2. I felt like at the end, food chatter was back. and I was ready to move on down the road. For me, when food chatter comes back, and I've done other videos on this of when to titrate up, but for me, when food chatter comes back, food noise, when people are like, what's food chatter? I'm like, oh my God, how do you not have that? I'm a rare breed, but I know I'm not really rare. So many of you have this too, of where your thoughts are looping with food. Those pause for me on Mounjaro, which is one of the best gifts, so I can focus in on nutrition and I don't eat with an unhealthy relationship with food, and that's been healed and is continuing to heal with Mounjaro. Next tip, number 9 of worst things to do on your first week of Mounjaro. So by the way, to recap, tip number 8, make sure you just put on your calendar. You're putting 2 things on your calendar. When you're going to get your next prescription in general, like just setting up an auto reminder. I have mine indefinitely set. And then for your week 2, when you're going to titrate up, talking with your telehealth person, kind of coming up with a game plan of like, okay, where am I at like near the end of week 2 or middle of week 2? Kind of where am I? I'm 10 days in, almost 12 days into Mounjaro journey. How do I feel? What do I think? Where am I going to be? And maybe then your healthcare provider is like, let's wait till the 3rd week or the 4th week or whatever. Your healthcare provider is the one you need to be punting to on that. And number 9 of worst things to do on your first week for me was telling a lot of people. And then I came out and did a YouTube video. But people in my personal life, I did not tell. I actually told the internet before I told my family until I was on Good Morning America, which I don't even think some of my family still knows. I don't know what they think. But I was on Good Morning America for talking about Mounjaro, like my videos were. So that kind of let the cat out of the bag when I was on national television about it. But I didn't really tell anybody because I didn't want people's judgment. I told YouTube because I've been here on YouTube for years and I felt an obligation to share with our community of people who are like-minded like I am. Mr. Freddie, where are we going? Mr. Freddie's been sick. If you guys have heard about he just did it, the respiratory thing, we've been hoping he doesn't, because I work with foster animals. I'm hoping he doesn't have the respiratory thing. So if you have dogs, there's a major respiratory thing going around with dogs. So he was just coughing like that. Okay, you can settle back down, my love. Let's go over, so be mindful of who you're speaking with, right? Like, who are you telling that you're on Mounjaro? You don't need to shout out from the rooftops. Or maybe you do. Maybe you want to. But for me, I didn't tell people. It was just like my husband knew. I don't even think I told close friends. I don't know if I told my sister even, who's like my bestie. Number 10, not having a backup plan if food issues do come up for you. So for me, having been on 100-pound weight, I knew I needed to lose 100 pounds and being morbidly obese, taking away food of like, I'm not hungry anymore. What am I going to do with that time block? Like at nighttime, I used to eat a lot. What am I going to do instead? So I want to encourage you your first week of Mounjaro. Maybe is that crafting? Oh, look. Sometimes in the videos, he's so crass. Sometimes he toots. So I'm so glad he didn't fart that time, but he is like, he's frogging. He's looking at my Christmas tree. Oh, holy night. Oh, my goodness. I'm going to scoot over here. I feel like he's going to toot on me. While we're giving vital, important information about Mounjaro weight loss. So it brought up food issues. What for me, having a plan at nighttime, for me, it was taking baths and sleeping. And I told my family I was just my husband was, bless, the Count is amazing. I should have like King Count or something. He's so awesome. He's so helpful. With our 8-year-old son, I was like, I'm not going to be able to do night shift duty. You need to help me out, like putting him to bed and stuff like that. So if you have food issues or things like that, or you eat a lot at night, what's the plan? What's the strategy? What tips can you do? Are you going to go for a walk? Are you going to have a bath? Are you going to focus in on skincare? What are you going to do? Tip number 11, having grace on day 6 and 7 versus grace on day 1 and 2. On day 6 and 7, day 5, 6, or 7, I'm forgetting which. There's half-life doses, meaning your dose is not going to feel the same on day 5, 6, and 7 as it does on day 1 and 2. It's going to feel differently. For me, more than, and I shouldn't say you, for me, I'll use my I statements. Let me retract that. I'm going to use my I statements. But in the literature, the Eli Lilly, the manufacturer's literature, it talks about on the half-life doses, meaning you're not going to feel those appetite suppression as massively, usually speaking. Again, everybody's body's different. So just being prepared for that. For some people in our Mounjaro Weight Loss Free Encouragement group, feel that appetite suppression all the way through until the second week. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm still so full. If that's the case, again, talking with your healthcare provider and your medical healthcare provider. But maybe also on day 6 and 7, your diarrhea is less. Or you're not having as bad as constipation or gastrointestinal issues, because those are super, super common. Again, if you're having any sort of severe pains, gallbladder, pancreatitis, things like that, you need to talk to your healthcare provider. Don't mess around with that. Also, it's family history of thyroid cancer, a specific one too. I'm sure your healthcare provider already talked to you about that before taking Mounjaro. People freak out about that black box warning about thyroid cancer. It is a family genetic cancer, from my understanding. Always talk with your own healthcare provider on that too. Tip number 12, worst things to do on your first week of Mounjaro weight loss. Tip number 12 is not having your meals sorted. What are you gonna flip and eat? What you eating, boo? What are you gonna eat? Like, you need to have that sorted, would be my encouragement for you. What is it gonna be? For me, I heavily relied on Chipotle. I didn't feel like cooking. And now I cook more, and I've done a whole bunch of what I eat in a day series. Make sure you check those out down below. Because I've really gotten into cooking more lean proteins. And for me, I couldn't eat, and I don't eat as much high protein anymore. Like, I went out for date night, I had a ribeye steak, it just jacked my stomach. So I really focus in more on lean protein. I don't know if that's gonna be the case for you. For me and lots of people, it is. So what are you gonna eat? Like, have your meals kind of outlined for the week in your head, but extra grace associated with that too. I still eat with my family even if I don't eat. I get this question a lot. On day 1 and 2, usually I'll just come and I'll sit with them with a decaf coffee or unsweet tea or my Stanley. I'll link my favorite Stanleys down below. I'll also link down below too my favorite loose skin cream. I'm not sponsored by them. I bought this with my own money. There's nothing that can get rid of loose skin, but gosh, it does help. It's amazing. And it's 10 ounces. It's a lot. You get a lot in the product. I highly recommend. The only way to get rid of loose skin is loose skin surgery. But talking about that muscle loss, going back to that protein, making sure you get your protein and collagen in. Tip number 13 for worst things to do your first week of Mounjaro. For me, I have traveled a bunch on my Mounjaro weight loss journey. I have a whole article. I have, by the way, tons of articles on countessofshopping.com, but on Countess of Shopping, I have a travel article. For me, I intentionally didn't travel. With my job, I do travel for clients because I work with clients like Amazon, iRobot, YouTube is one of my clients, but QVC. And so I intentionally, my first week was like blocked out my work schedule to not travel. So if you are traveling, totally extra grace, love, grace, kindness, and compassion. But for me, I wouldn't electively choose to do that. Or maybe take a vacation, although some people have in our Mounjaro weight loss encouragement group, definitely take vacations their first week, because they're like, if I'm having side effects, I want it to be on a beach somewhere. For me, that was not, like, I wanted to be near my medical resources in case I did have gallbladder issues or pancreatitis issues or things like that. And again, just because you don't have one side effect your first week doesn't mean you won't have it as you titrate up or go through your Mounjaro journey. So having that intuitive eating of how's my body feeling? I'm being present with my hands and feet. I'm being present in my body. What does this feel like? That for me has been a continuous learning part of the 71-pound Mounjaro weight loss journey, because I didn't. Like, being 100 pounds overweight, there's clearly an unhealthy relationship with food. And so healing that's been part of this process too, of being present with my hands and feet. I highly recommend Element electrolytes. I have down below. They've been very gracious with the Countess of Shopping community to give 8 free sticks with any purchase, even a small purchase. So they have their electrolytes for like wintertime basically right now, and I'm obsessed. The chocolate chai, I only have a half a stick of those, by the way. I'll put in my coffee. I also put them in my overnight oats. They have a chocolate mint, they have a chocolate raspberry, and I am obsessed with just the regular raspberry salt. If it's too much for you, dilute it with a lot of water or use half a stick. You don't have to use the full stick versus like the amount of water they say. I play with that all the time. Make it your own, honey. Make this your own. But it is so helpful because it does have magnesium, potassium, and sodium. If you have high blood pressure, potassium combats sodium issues with blood pressure. Obviously, talk to your own doctor. But I'm obsessed. Love it, love it, love it. And I'm obsessed with, by the way, my new magnesium, because it's got all 7 types of magnesium in there. I've been learning so much about magnesium correlation to weight loss. It's been huge, huge, huge. And it's helped with my leg pains too, although that's more of a potassium thing. But My leg things have not been related to Mounjaro, but it definitely, the first week, it felt like, and if you see my Mounjaro 2.5 milligram, how I lost 11 pounds the first week video, I talk about the snapping in my legs. That was not related to Mounjaro, but I do think because I was being so present in my body, that is how I learned about it. And along this journey, you're going to need support. You're going to need extra grace, kindness. Make sure you join my free Mounjaro weight loss community down below. Get my free Mounjaro weight loss success checklist. If you've made it this far in the video, I do a little something here like Marvel Easter eggs. So I know who's watched this far. There's thousands of you, one of me. It helps me to see your name over and over and over again in the comments. I may not reply to your comment on YouTube on every video, but I certainly will see it. So your emoji for today is a microphone. If you put that down below, it's our secret code to know that you've watched this far. I will pray over you and I will uplift you. If you don't believe in prayer, I will uplift you and send you positive energy. And it helps me to get to know you better too. And it's true, like that's how I know so many people in this community. Iron sharpens iron. Encouragement begets encouragement. The more that we're motivational and encouraging to each other, it helps so much, particularly with Mounjaro being in its infancy and Zepbound, and more to come with tirzepatide weight loss and WEGOVY weight loss. And there's so many other GLP-1s in the pipeline with the FDA and just in general, that having a really positive community like ours. You do want to join my free encouragement group, answer every question. There are a lot of spammers. I will decline you. Yesterday, I declined 50 people trying to join the group because they didn't answer all the questions and they look like spammers. And that's one of the flags of how I know if people are spammers, if they're not answering all of the questions. And everyone has to answer it, so why should you get to skirt around that? You know what I mean? Go click subscribe so you will signal to the YouTube algorithm to see more of my videos. If you've watched this far, clearly you've liked it, right? So click subscribe, click like, and if you've made it this far in the video, I want to make sure you get my checklist also of the 17 side effects and solutions corresponding to all of those too. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others. I'm Countess of Shopping. Count my blessings because life is delicious. Mr. Freddie and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.